Betrayal and lies. Real-life cheating stories that will make you question everything. Emma never thought her marriage would become a story others would whisper about in disbelief. She met her husband, Jake, during their final year at university. Their connection felt fated, as if the universe had crafted them for each other. He was charming, attentive, and endlessly devoted, or so she thought. Years into their marriage, the couple had established what appeared to be a picture-perfect life. Their suburban home was filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the pitter-patter of their toddler's tiny feet. However, beneath the veneer of perfection, cracks began to form, subtle and almost imperceptible at first. Emma noticed Jake spending more time on his phone, guarding it as though it held state secrets. When she asked, he brushed her off with practiced ease. Just work emails, he'd say, planting a reassuring kiss on her forehead. But Emma's gut told her otherwise. One evening, while Jake was in the shower, Emma couldn't resist the pull of her instincts. She unlocked his phone, her hands trembling as she navigated to his messages. What she found shattered her world. A thread of intimate text with someone saved as Alex. The words were damning. Asterisk, I can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. Asterisk, every message unraveled the life Emma thought she had. Confronting Jake was like stepping into a storm. He denied it at first, accusing her of invading his privacy, but the evidence was undeniable. Eventually, he confessed. Alex wasn't a woman but a man, a co-worker he had been seeing for over a year. The betrayal cut deeper than Emma ever thought possible. It wasn't just the infidelity, but the realization that Jake had been living a life she knew nothing about. Across the country, another tale unfolded, equally harrowing. Sophia had been dating her boyfriend Liam for 3 years. Their relationship was fiery and passionate, marked by grand gestures and late-night promises. But Liam had a knack for disappearing. Sudden business trips, unexplainable absences, and vague excuses about needing space. Sophia's suspicions reached their peak when she stumbled upon a photo of Liam on social media. He was at a wedding she hadn't been invited to, standing arm in arm with another woman. Sophia dug deeper and uncovered a web of deceit. Liam was leading a double life, engaged to someone else while stringing Sophia along. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It felt like an assault on her sense of reality. Cheating stories like these serve as a chilling reminder that trust can be fragile, and the people we love are sometimes the ones who hurt us most. The lies, the betrayal, and the heartbreak force us to question not just our relationships, but the very fabric of what we thought was real. Emma's story didn't end with Jake's confession. In the weeks that followed, she was consumed by a mix of heartbreak and anger. She wanted to understand why Jake had chosen deceit over honesty. When she confronted him about why he hadn't been truthful from the start, his answer only deepened her pain. I didn't know how to face who I really am. His struggle with his identity was real. And Emma felt torn between empathy for his inner turmoil and fury at how he had used her life as a shield against his own fears. She sought therapy to untangle her emotions, slowly realizing that his betrayal was less about her and more about the secrets he kept from himself. Emma eventually filed for divorce, a painful but necessary step to reclaim her life. She often wondered if she could have forgiven Jake if he had been honest from the beginning, but the lies had carved a chasm too wide to bridge. Sophia's path was no less harrowing. After uncovering Liam's duplicity, she made the difficult decision to contact the other woman. To her shock, the fiancée, Rachel, was equally blindsided. Together, they compared timelines and found that Liam had been expertly juggling 2 lives for years. Rachel had no idea he even had another girlfriend, and Sophia was horrified to learn how many of their supposedly intimate moments were orchestrated around Rachel's schedule. The 2 women decided to confront Liam together. They met him at a cafe under the guise of a casual meetup. When they both showed up, Liam's face drained of color. His excuses tumbled out in a flood of stammers, but neither Sophia nor Rachel stayed to hear them. They walked away arm in arm, bound by shared pain but also an unspoken solidarity. Rachel ended her engagement, and Sophia found solace in knowing she wasn't alone in her heartbreak. But not all stories of betrayal lead to such dark endings. In a smaller town miles away, Mike and Julia's relationship faced its own test. Julia discovered that Mike had been having an emotional affair with his co-worker, Lisa. The messages weren't overtly romantic, but they were deeply intimate. Sharing secrets and vulnerabilities he had stopped sharing with Julia. It hurt her more than if it had been purely physical, because it felt like Lisa was taking her place in his heart. Mike admitted his wrongdoings and begged for a chance to make things right. Julia wasn't sure she could ever trust him again, but she agreed to couples therapy as a last effort to save their marriage. Over months of intense sessions, they began to unearth the roots of their issues. Mike's feelings of being unappreciated and Julia's growing resentment over his emotional distance. It was painful and slow, but they eventually rebuilt their relationship on a foundation of brutal honesty and mutual effort. For some, betrayal marks the end. For others, it's the beginning of a new chapter, either together or apart. These stories of betrayal and lies serve as reminders of how complex relationships can be. They challenge us to examine what we want, what we need, and what we're willing to forgive. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's never the same, but sometimes the fractures can create a mosaic stronger than the original. The threads that run through these stories, secrecy, pain, and resilience, highlight the duality of human relationships. Even in betrayal, there are lessons about self-worth, boundaries, and the importance of truth. For Emma, Sophia, Rachel, and Julia, life didn't end with the lies. It changed for better or worse. And for those who hear these stories, they serve as cautionary tales, urging us to look closer, listen harder, and perhaps trust just a little more carefully despite the pain. These stories all share a common thread: resilience. Emma rebuilt her life, finding a strength she didn't know she had. She now advocates for others navigating heartbreak, using her experience to help them heal. Sophia and Rachel, though initially bonded by betrayal, became close friends who supported each other through the recovery process. They both found new relationships, ones built on transparency and respect. For Julia and Mike, the road was rocky but transformative. Their marriage emerged stronger, proof that sometimes love can survive even the deepest wounds if both parties are willing to fight for it. In the end, betrayal may shatter trust, but it also forces growth. Whether through rebuilding or moving on, these stories show that even in the darkest moments, there's a chance to rediscover oneself and to choose a path that leads to a brighter future. For Emma, life after Jake wasn't easy, but it was transformative. She moved out of the home they had shared and into a small apartment, a space that became her sanctuary. Therapy helped her process not only the betrayal, but also the loss of the life she thought she was building. Slowly, she started to reclaim her identity, separate from her role as a wife and mother. She joined support groups for women who had been cheated on, and in hearing their stories, she began to see her experience as part of a larger narrative of resilience. Jake, meanwhile, began to explore his identity more openly. He reached out to Emma several months after their divorce to apologize again, this time with a sincerity that surprised her. While Emma still felt the pain of his choices, she also felt a flicker of compassion for the struggles he had faced. They found a way to co-parent amicably, united in their love for their child, though the wounds of their marriage remained a cautionary tale in Emma's heart. Sophia and Rachel took a different path. After their dramatic confrontation with Liam, they each went through their own grieving process. Sophia threw herself into her career, using the betrayal as fuel to prove to herself that she was more than Liam's victim. She also rekindled old friendships she had neglected during her relationship, finding joy in the simple act of being surrounded by people who valued her. Rachel, on the other hand, decided to take time off from work and travel. She visited cities she'd always dreamed of seeing, immersing herself in new cultures and finding solace in the unfamiliar. During her travels, she began documenting her journey online, creating a blog that quickly gained a following. She wrote candidly about heartbreak, betrayal, and the process of rebuilding, her words resonating with readers who found hope in her resilience. Though their paths were separate, Sophia and Rachel stayed in touch. What began as a bond forged through shared pain grew into a genuine friendship. Years later, when Rachel returned from her travels, she and Sophia met for coffee. They laughed about the absurdity of their situation with Liam and marveled at how far they had both come. For Julia and Mike, their story was a more complicated blend of heartache and redemption. Therapy forced them to face truths they had avoided for years. Julia had been pulling away emotionally, feeling unappreciated, while Mike sought connection outside their marriage because he didn't know how to express his needs. It wasn't an easy process. Julia often wondered if she was making a mistake by staying, while Mike battled the guilt of his betrayal. But over time, they began to rediscover each other. Mike became more attentive, and Julia started to let her guard down. They started having date nights again, reliving the early days of their relationship. While the scar of the emotional affair never fully disappeared, it became a reminder of how fragile love can be and how much work it takes to sustain it. These stories of betrayal and lies didn't define their protagonists. Instead, they became catalysts for change. Emma, Sophia, Rachel, Julia, and even Jake and Mike all learned that pain, while devastating, can lead to growth. Emma discovered her strength, Sophia her independence, Rachel her voice, and Julia and Mike their commitment to each other. The road to healing is never linear, and forgiveness, whether of others or oneself, is often the hardest part. Yet, these individuals showed that even in the face of heartbreak, there's an opportunity to rebuild, to choose a different path, and to emerge stronger. Betrayal may leave deep wounds, but it also opens the door for new beginnings. Proof that even the most shattered trust can lead to a brighter future years later. The scars of betrayal remain for Emma, Sophia, Rachel, Julia, and the others touched by these stories, but they no longer define their lives. Each had walked a unique path toward healing, one marked by moments of despair, but also by triumphs they hadn't imagined during their darkest days. Emma's small apartment became a bustling haven as she started hosting workshops for women going through divorce. She turned her pain into purpose, guiding others who were navigating the same rocky terrain she once did. Her child, now older, often joined her at these gatherings, offering their own perspective on resilience and change. Emma even found love again, a slow, cautious process with someone who admired her strength and honored her past without letting it overshadow their future. Sophia, after climbing the ranks in her career, started her own consultancy firm. She became a staunch advocate for women in leadership, channeling her experiences into empowering others. While she remained single for years after Liam, it wasn't out of fear but a newfound clarity about what she wanted and deserved in a relationship. When she finally did meet someone, it was an easy, honest connection, free of the emotional acrobatics she once thought were normal. Rachel's blog evolved into a best-selling memoir, one that resonated deeply with readers around the world. Publishers hailed her as a fresh voice in self-discovery literature, and she began speaking at events about overcoming betrayal and finding strength in vulnerability. The success was gratifying, but what meant the most to her were the letters from readers who thanked her for helping them heal their own wounds. For Julia and Mike, the years that followed were a testament to the complexity of love. Their marriage wasn't perfect. No relationship ever is, but it became a space where both felt seen and valued. They continued therapy for years, not because of lingering distrust, but because they had learned the value of open, facilitated communication. Their relationship became something neither had expected, a partnership born anew, forged in the fire of their shared commitment to grow. Even Jake, who had once caused Emma so much pain, found a sense of peace. Embracing his true identity allowed him to form meaningful relationships, ones built on honesty and acceptance. He remained a present father to his child with Emma, and while their marriage was a painful chapter, it became the foundation for the authentic life he now lived. These stories, though different in their details, share a common thread. The idea that betrayal, while devastating, doesn't have to define the future. For each person, the lies they endured became stepping stones to self-discovery and healing. They learned to trust again not just others, but themselves. They learned that while love can be fragile, it's also resilient, capable of surviving in ways they never expected. Betrayal tests the core of who we are, forcing us to confront what we value and what we're willing to fight for. These individuals didn't just survive their heartbreaks. They thrived, proving that even in the shadow of lies, there's a path to light. Their stories are a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure, adapt, and ultimately triumph over even the deepest wounds. As the years passed, each story wove itself into a larger narrative of resilience, transformation, and self-discovery. The pain of betrayal became a turning point for Emma, Sophia, Rachel, Julia, and even Jake and Mike. Their journeys illustrate how heartbreak doesn't have to be the end. It can be a powerful beginning. For Emma, life blossomed in unexpected ways. After years of dedicating herself to rebuilding her self-esteem and creating a stable home for her child, she found herself standing on a podium at a women's empowerment conference. Her speech, equal parts raw vulnerability and fierce determination, left the audience in tears. She spoke of the shame and self-doubt she had battled after Jake's betrayal, and how she had turned those feelings into fuel for her growth. Emma's workshops evolved into a nonprofit organization that supported single parents and individuals recovering from broken relationships. Her ability to turn her personal pain into a force for good made her a beacon of hope for many. Through her work, she met Daniel, a fellow advocate for mental health awareness. Their relationship grew slowly, grounded in a shared understanding of life's challenges and a deep respect for one another's journeys. Though Emma had been wary of love after Jake, Daniel's unwavering honesty and kindness reminded her that trust, while fragile, could be rebuilt. Sophia's path, too, took her to places she hadn't imagined. With her consultancy firm thriving, she became a sought-after speaker and mentor for young professionals. Her experience with Liam had taught her the importance of recognizing red flags, not just in relationships, but in all areas of life. She wrote a book, Boundaries and Balance, which became a bestseller, offering readers practical advice on maintaining healthy relationships and prioritizing self-respect. Romantically, Sophia chose to take her time. She spent years learning to enjoy her own company, traveling the world, and exploring hobbies she had neglected. When she finally entered a new relationship, it was with someone who matched her energy and ambition. They supported each other's dreams without compromising their individuality, a partnership that felt liberating compared to the chaos she had endured with Liam. Rachel's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Her blog-turned-memoir, Betrayal and Bravery, didn't just become a bestseller. It sparked a movement. Readers from around the globe reached out, sharing their own stories of heartbreak and resilience. Rachel hosted retreats for individuals recovering from betrayal, creating safe spaces for healing and connection. One of her retreats brought her to a quiet coastal town where she met James, a teacher with a passion for marine conservation. Their bond was unexpected but undeniable, rooted in shared values and a love for storytelling. While Rachel hadn't been actively searching for love, James reminded her that not all connections had to be complicated, that love could be simple, honest, and kind. Julia and Mike's story remain a nuanced tapestry of effort and compromise. Their marriage, though tested, became a model of what it meant to rebuild trust. They continued attending therapy, not because they couldn't move forward, but because they wanted to ensure they never stopped growing together. Julia's newfound appreciation for Mike's vulnerability transformed their dynamic. Meanwhile, Mike worked tirelessly to show Julia that she was his priority, surprising her with thoughtful gestures and making time for regular check-ins to ensure they stayed on the same page. They renewed their vows in an intimate ceremony, surrounded by close friends and family. The event was a quiet celebration of their perseverance, a testament to the power of commitment and honest communication. While their journey hadn't been easy, it was one they wouldn't trade. They have found a deeper love, one built on understanding and forgiveness. Even Jake's story found a redemptive arc. After coming out and fully embracing his identity, he became an advocate for LGBTQ+ awareness in corporate settings. He used his platform to speak about the importance of authenticity, sharing his own struggles with living a double life. Over time, he and Emma established a friendship rooted in their shared love for their child. They co-parented with respect and cooperation, ensuring their child grew up knowing they were loved, despite the changes in their family dynamic. The ripple effects of betrayal and lies are undeniable, but so is the potential for growth and transformation. Each person who endured heartbreak in these stories emerged stronger, wiser, and more attuned to their own needs. Their experiences became a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity to find beauty even in the aftermath of pain. These stories remind us that betrayal doesn't define us. It's how we rise from it that shapes our lives. Trust, though fragile, can be rebuilt, and love, even after heartbreak, can bloom again. In the end, the lies that shattered their worlds became the catalyst for their most profound transformations, proving that even the deepest wounds can heal and lead to something beautiful.